Hey, Cubs fans, and welcome to a brand new edition of Cubs on Tap. We are live. We are on the air. So if you are joining us, welcome. We are talking about a Cubs winner today. That's awesome. Can't beat that. But first, before we dive into all the gritty details, I'm Ron Luce, and I'm joined today by Mr. Cody Del Mendo. Cody, how you feeling, buddy?
Ron, my friend, we do not have to sit on here and bitch about the Cubs offense today.
Woo!
It's a beautiful day, man. It's a beautiful day. I know it's been raining all day here in Chicagoland. It's been gloomy, cloudy, but thankfully the Cubs were playing in Pittsburgh, where apparently it was actually kind of hot, and the sun was out, and the Cubs got a W today. It's a great feeling, man. We needed it. Needed this one. I don't care if it is Pittsburgh. I don't care who it is. Anytime you can get a W, feels great.
Absolutely. I was going to say the exact same thing. I had that on the tip of my tongue coming into this episode. I'm like, there's going to be people that are like, but you played the Pirates. I don't care who we play. You still got to win ball games. You can't. The Cubs didn't make their schedule. The league made their schedule. So guess what? If they can take advantage of the lowly Pirates this early in the season, they might as well do it. But to back up your point really quickly, it was 79 degrees in Pittsburgh. So very nice, very warm. There was a dude, I think, casually sitting with his shirt off in the stands. I think I remember seeing that at some point in the broadcast. So that was certainly fun. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't get to catch the game today, we are talking about a Cubs winner. The Cubs are now they won 4-2 today. Excuse me. They are now 4-3 on the season. Arrieta gets his second win in a Cubs jersey and his re-return, I suppose you could say. Anderson gets his second loss to the Cubs this season already, and Kimbrel picks up his second save of the season. It is not his second one against Pittsburgh, however, or actually, it is his second one against Pittsburgh in his third appearance against Pittsburgh. But we'll run real quick just here through the recap for those that didn't get to see the game, just so you know how the runs were scored, and then we're just gonna dive right into this thing. But Cubs got it going early. Chris Bryant in the first inning, he hit a just absolute rocket to center field for his second home run of the season. That gave the Cubs the early 1-0 lead. The fly the W pick for Ron Luce, looking really nice to start the game. But in the bottom of the fourth, Pittsburgh made things a little interesting. Dustin Fowler hit a sac fly to right field that scored Polanco, who was on third base, and Jacob Stallings, who was on first, advanced to second on the play. And then shortly after that, Adam Frazier, this dude is just a Cubs killer, it feels like, but he singled that scored Stallings from second, and it gave the Pirates their only lead of the day, thankfully. Because then in the top of the sixth, Javi Baez, in honor of the Masters, golfs a ball way low not even in the zone, like below the strike zone, golfs it out into that little porch in left field that the Pirates have out there with Rizzo on. So that was a 2-run bomb, gave the Cubs the lead, and they would never look back, because then in the top of the eighth, Rizzo himself hit his first home run of the season. It was an absolute rocket, and that's how we got to 4-2. And things got a little hairy. Dan Winkler did not know how to pitch, walked the bases loaded, but Kimbrel came in, got out of it, and the rest is history on this one, because the Cubs still won. But Cody, I'll turn it over to you, man. Talk me through, what are those feelings you're having right now about today's win?
Like I said, it feels good to get a W, but there's still some things that are, I don't want to say alarming, but just still like we still have a reason to be a little bit concerned. The Cubs had double-digit hits today, so I shouldn't be, but like some guys still having at bats where I'm just like, man, like I can't, like, it's hard for me, it's hard for me to like be fully in, to like be fully all in, like we're, this team can go places. And that's kind of why I've taken everything with a grain of salt. Like it's the Cubs have no expectations. Like we've talked about, all the predictors of, have them on the outside looking in at the end of the year. But and a lot of those reasons why kind of, even though we won today, still kind of showed today. But it clearly far and away, the Cubs have more talent than the Pirates. And that is really what just kind of like outweighed today. Like I thought Jake Arrieta, I thought it was incredible that he got as far as he did in the game, because in my opinion, he was not good today. He got lucky with the baseball gods, with a bunch of hard hits right at people. He got a really nice call from the umpire on a 3-0 pitch that should have been a ball, but was called a strike, and it led to the Cubs. I think it was against Colin Moran, I want to say, and it led to a strikeout, and then he eventually got out of the inning without giving up any runs. Yeah, so a lot of, I don't want to say the Cubs got lucky to win this game, but a lot of luck came with winning this game. Clearly, the Cubs have more talent than the Pirates, and that showed today. So we can talk a little bit more about like the concerns and stuff if you want, but just overall, I think the Cubs won mainly today just based off talent. And you know, I think that's what people are going to say anytime they play the Pirates all season. So.
Yeah. No, I think that's totally fair. Yeah, you saw the Cubs' talent at least shine today too. I think that's at least a plus that we can take, right? Sure, of course, the Cubs are a more talented team. They should beat Pittsburgh, absolutely. But it is still baseball. It happens. Even the worst teams in the league somehow find ways to usually win 70 to 75 games in a season. But that was a very good thing. The comment on the screen for those listening, once this becomes a podcast, Baez finally takes a walk. Yes. I heard a stat. I think it was coming into this game. It was like 106 plate appearances for Baez without a walk.
Yeah.
Dating back to last season. Yeah, unbelievable. So him taking a walk today was a huge step forward. But
it's not unbelievable. It's not unbelievable for me anymore, man. Like we've seen this more time and time again, man.
Mm-hmm.
Like he goes on these streaks where he won't take a walk for however many bats or play appearances.
Like 40 games. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's not like the streak, like he might start a streak tomorrow that might go the same length again. Like if he was more of a threat, he would get intentionally walked more. But it's very often where people intentionally walk people ahead of him to get to him because he's the scouting report says it all, man. So that's like, he's one guy that even though he hit the home run today, even though he took a walk, like I'm still just kind of like it's still hard for me to like be all right, Javi, we're moving on the right path. He's had some good games, no doubt, but at the same time, it's like he struck out today on another high fastball in, and it's like we saw that all last season. Like he can't hit the high fastball, and I don't understand why. It's already bad enough he'll swing at it out of the zone, but when it's in the zone, he still doesn't hit it. Right. And the reason that it's bothering me specifically in this game is because we play the Pirates. Like it was the Pirates and like their talent level compared to what, the Brewers that we just went up against the last couple of days. It just kind of doesn't leave you with any kind of excuse for Javi in that situation. Again, I'm not asking for him to, hit a homer or get a hit every time at bat, but like I just want him to get back to 2018, 2019 form where the strikeout rate is at least manageable, man. And he's striking out a ton to start this season.
Yeah, so. It really does feel like for him, it's strikeout or hit. Like there is no fly out. There is no, he'll ground out every once in a blue moon. But and even to your point, right, about the high fastball, I think with Javi. So today, had a good day. We mentioned it with the walk. He was 2 for 3 with the home run, 2 ribbies. Stat line looked really good today for Javi. My fantasy team really happy with Javi's performance today. But I think, to your point with the high fastball, because like you said, high and in, low and away are his 2 weak points. Anywhere else, he finds a way to somehow hit the fucking baseball. But those 2 spots, like you said, the scouting report says it all. That's why people throw him. And actually, it might have actually been against the Pirates. It was Pirates or Brewers. It was in the last few days. I specifically remember this. Javi struck out looking on a fastball on the outer edge. And I think he's even in his own head. He knows what the scouting report is because he knows a lot of teams are going to throw him that slider or some type of moving outway pitch from the plate off that far corner because they know he'll try and go hack for it because he has that. He's got the hand-eye. He showed it today. Hell, that ball is like 3 inches off the ground that he put into the stance. So people know the people know the dude's hand-eye coordination's there. If anybody on this roster is going to be able to get to a ball that's an inch and a half off the plate away, it's probably Javi. Rizzo's probably the only other guy that comes to mind. That's just because he sits so damn close to the plate. So, it's almost like Javi's playmaking ability sometimes is his crutch, I guess, at times, because people know what to throw him. Now, the key is, can he at least, and this was the point I was trying to get to, real long way to get there, but I apologize for that. But if he could just foul those pitches off, Foul off the high inside fastball, because then at least teams are like, well, shit, we can't keep throwing it there because he's just going to take it and just at least do enough with it to ring up a good at bat.
Mm-hmm.
And then if he goes down swinging at just a really nasty curveball or something like that that's hard to catch, fine, because then at least he grinds it out. I think if he can at least get to that point where, like you said, he has his weaknesses, but if he can get to the point where he can at least minimize those weaknesses a little bit, it's going to help him get back to that 2018, 2019 Javi where he maybe does take a few more walks, or at least when he is getting out, they're productive outs. You know, it's a close play at first, or at least it's a hard hit ball to the outfield. At least, you know, he's barreling the ball well. So that to me is the key with Javi right now, is just like, you know, the scouting report against you, Big Pimp. You clearly do, like, because like I said, that pitch on the outside corner, normally, and in like last season, especially where Javi couldn't see the in-game video and adjust, he swings at that. But he's taking it because he's like, well, I know where they're going to throw me. They're going to throw me off the corner, low and away, because they think I can't hit it out there, especially if it's a sweeping like slider or a curve or something.
Right.
And of course, it's a fastball, and it just right on that fucking tape on the corner, and it gets him.
Right. Well, and you know, I mentioned, you know, I wish he could get at least back to 2019 form. 2018's runner-up MVP. You can't ask for those numbers every year unless you're Mike Trout or, you know, Juan Soto or fucking Bryce Harper, I guess. But, you know, in 18 and 19, he had reached like looked at as one of the top shortstops in the league, because he started taking those low and away pitches to the opposite field.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
And he just hasn't done that at all.
Besides that home run the other night. Yeah. Besides the home run the other night, he hasn't taken a single ball.
The game that I was at, he hit a opposite home run that day. But I mean, he literally golfed. He literally golfed one today into the stands, and that's great and all. But it just doesn't change anything for me as far as like feeling better about him. You know, people were talking about extensions and stuff like that. You know, I you know, the more he continues to be an all or nothing guy, the more I feel like the Cubs can just like, I wouldn't feel bad if the Cubs threw him a low ball offer. Like, and if he doesn't want that, then he can walk, because we got Nico Horner. We got Ed Howard coming up in the next couple of years. Like, we have guys that could potentially be the shortstop of the future. And I don't want it to be that way, because Javi Baez is part of the 16 team. He's, you know, I have a lot of memories. He's fun. He's one of the more, you know, marketable guys in the league.
One of the more entertaining players in baseball.
Yeah, for sure. He's a guy that you kind of want around for a long time. But if he can't finally adjust to what, you know, people are doing with him, and with the fact that now the Cubs have the video factor back in for him, like, I just don't know. It sucks. Like, the Cubs don't have an excuse for, you know, waiting this long on not giving out a contract extension. But at the same time, when you see the offense the way that it has so far this season, you kind of feel like maybe there's a good reason why none of them have a contract extension. So, you know, that there's still a long season. I know I feel like we're like bitching, but the Cubs won today. And the thing is just, it's the Pirates. And my thinking is the reason that I'm bitching is because, okay, we won 4-2, but the Cubs should have won this game in a lot easier fashion. Dan Winkler comes in, walks the bases loaded. We got to use Kimbrel for an inning and 2/3, which is fine. We have an off day tomorrow anyway, so like that doesn't necessarily bother me. It's just like, it was another game where it was like, we had to fucking grind through this, man. Like, I honestly, I don't think Arrieta would have made it through 5 innings if they would have gone up against anyone else in baseball today. Yeah, that's at least competent. You know what I mean? Like, that's how bad the Pirates are. So, again, nice to get a W. Nice to feel good going in the off day. Those always hit different. But like, at the same time, just like, if I'm the one being pessimistic here, that's saying something, because I've been on the train of like, you know, we got to wait and see what happens. But like, I hate feeling like this after a win, because it's like, I want to feel good after a win. And again, like, I'm just kind of blah, like meh today. That's how I am. Like, it's,
well, I'll blame the weather for that a little bit too. But no, but going back to your point, just to wrap up the kind of the Javi Baez discussion, because I think honestly some of it is the fans love Javi. We both love Javi. Javi's one of my favorite players in the league.
Well, one more thing. Sorry to cut you off. I saw a freaking poll on Twitter like 2 days ago. I think it was from Mark Silverman. Shout out ESPN 1000. He was like, he just did a simple poll where it was like, who would you extend? And then the options were Chris Bryant or Javi Baez. And then like all of the votes were for Javi Baez. Like quite literally more than 3/4 of them. And I was like, is our fan base that fucking stupid, man? Is it that dumb?
I think part of it might be though, like, and this is not everybody. There are definitely people that are that dumb. But like, I think part of it too, though, is like if Javi continues to do this, he's going to be the cheaper one to re-sign because he is a little more inconsistent, and they can throw the numbers at him and be like, "Look, pimp, like we're just telling you the truth here. Like, yeah, your buddy Lindor got a really nice, pretty contract, but like you're not as offensively consistent as your homeboy is, and you're still a great player. Like they're probably like, hey, this is still a really nice offer. Don't get us wrong, but like we're not giving you 300 mil. You know what I mean? Over however the hell many seasons. What was it, like 13 years or something crazy like that? Plus, Javi, I think, is a little older than Lindor, maybe by like a year. They might be the same age. Who the hell knows? I don't know. Lindor at the back end of that contract is going to be useless anyway. But going back just quickly to what you mentioned about 2019 Javi, like everybody's like, oh yeah, you know, Javi took a little bit of a step back in 2019. Did he? Because I just started looking at the numbers, and he really didn't from 2018. So like, in 2018, when he was, you know, as you mentioned, MVP runner-up, batted 290. 281 is what he hit in 2019. He stole 21 bases in that MVP runner-up season, only 11 the next year. Fine, whatever. His strikeout numbers, he only had 13 more strikeouts the whole season than he did the year before. So pretty consistent overall. Still, he's a mid-100 strikeouts dude. That's just what he is. Walks, he took one less walk in 2019 than he did in 2018. The only real big drop-off is RBIs, and I think that's just a product of the Cubs' bats not doing shit for most of 2019, especially at the top of the order, because he was hitting high in the order, too, in 2019, where 2018, early in the season, we've talked about it, he hit lower in the order in the beginning of the year, and then when he got hot, they moved him up the lineup a little more, because 111 RBIs is what he had the year before. He had 85 then in 19, but he still hit 29 home runs compared to 34 the year before, so, like, even 2019 Javi is still in that conversation of like, he's kind of still in that MVP race. Like, yeah. So, I mean, hell, if we could get that Javi, that would be spectacular. But you mentioned wanting to feel good. And I think there is something that we can talk about to feel good. And that's Chris Bryant. Because this season so far, even the games he's going 0 for 3, 0 for 4, he's seeing the ball well. He's having good at-bats. He's taking walks. That alone is a good sign. And he's hitting the shit out of the ball when he does hit it. Because I think they said today's home run was like, 108 miles per hour off the bat. Like,
dead center.
He's feeling good. Like, I think KB is back. And I think that's something that we can actually talk about joyfully today, because a lot of people were concerned about Chris. And it really feels like he's starting to put together a really nice year that maybe the Cubs are like, well, you know what? Fuck it. Chris, we're sorry that we're assholes to you. Here's your money.
Yeah. And again, the Cubs put themselves in this position. So, you know, they have no one to blame but themselves if Chris comes out, puts up similar numbers to, 2016, almost 40 home runs, bats 275, OPS 950. Like, if he puts up numbers like that, I don't know if he's going to get $250 million still, because it's still just 1 year, but he's going to earn himself a better contract than what we would have said after the end of last year. Absolutely. And, the Cubs wouldn't be in this position if they just would have paid him after like 17 or 18 or whatever. But, if we're going to give a guy a long-term contract, Chris Bryant's going to be 29, 30 by the time this contract's done. I think it'll be 29. Like, as long as he's not asking for the Pujols contract, like 10 years, like, sure. I don't see why there's any reason why the Cubs, if he plays like this, can't find a way to pay this guy. And especially if Javi Baez continues to play like the way he's been playing, man. Yeah. To me, it's not even a question. Like, if the Cubs want to be a winner and they want to, and they're going to build their team the way that they build their team, which is offensively, which is getting a lot of walks, leading the league in walk rate. I feel like they do that. They're tops in the league in walk rate like every year, man. This isn't new. And he's one of the best players on the team that does that. Obviously, the power's there. He's versatile defensively. He's not elite defensively, but you can play him in the corner outfield spots. You can play him at third base. And that means that as he gets older, he'll probably be more in the outfield. And as long as he's serviceable, that's fine. Like, there's more things. I feel like if Chris Bryant plays like this, plays anything like we saw in 19, 17, 16, and 15, you see any of that this year, there's just more reason to keep him around than Javi Baez. The only reason the Cubs would vice versa is if one, Chris doesn't perform the way that the Cubs want or like, or just for the freaking casual fans who think Javi Baez is the best player in the world. Like that, I hate saying it like that, but he is one of the more guys who's super popular around the league. But it's basically because of the flashy tags. He's a flashy player. He's got the gold chain. Like, he's a very, very, again, very marketable guy. And so that, to me, that would look like they're keeping him around for money. And it's like, like to make their own money. And it's like, come on, like, to me, it's not even a question. Chris Bryant has been the best player between him and Javi Baez the entire time they've been on the Cubs.
Oh, yeah.
And that's fine. Like, when you have to compare the two players like that, that's hard to do. They're both pretty good. You know what I mean?
Right.
But Chris Bryant is just he does so much more for your team than Javi Baez does, in my opinion. So,
yeah.
Again, we're talking down the road a lot of stuff, but
right.
He did help his if things don't go well for the season, he is helping the trade value. No, he really is. And I think, and here's the thing too, that I think a lot of people maybe forget, right? Because they're like, well, if he wants the Pujols contract, tell him to kick rocks. Well, how about this? How about we take the John Lester or the Max Scherzer route? And what I mean by that is defer money. If the Cubs truly believe Marquee is going to make them the amount of money that it's going to make them over the course of its deal, because, like, let's be honest, the Yes Network and the Dodgers Network, the two for New York and LA, didn't pop off immediately. They took years to build up that value to the team. That's why the team did it when they did. That's why the Dodgers and Yankees have unlimited pools of money now, because they have those TV deals. If they can build that up the way they think they can, you can give Chris a 5 to 6 year contract, but defer money over like 12 years. Scherzer did it when he signed with the Nationals. I think a lot of people forget that. He signed it was like an 8-year deal, I think, or maybe it was a little like that,
6-7 year deal. But I think he's getting paid over like 14 years. So if these guys, especially if they're like, I would rather be a Cub my whole life and then just like collect a paycheck from the organization and do shit like with the organization once I retire, why not? Why not take money and defer it? Like, give these guys at least the option, because let's say the team is in a different phase and you have a younger group or whatever at that point. You're the Chicago Cubs. You should be making plenty of money to be able to pay them, even if they're not playing for your team. They don't count against the salary cap or the luxury tax, if I remember correctly, if they defer money. Like, yeah, you got to still pay them out of pocket, but I don't think it counts. I could be totally wrong. And if somebody knows that rule, please educate me. I would love that. I'm a numbers nerd when it comes to shit like that. But like, if that's an option, why not do it with some of these guys? Why not do it with like KB and Rizzo? You don't think they would do that to stay in Chicago? I think they would. Or at least, or even if you have to, like, maybe by deferring the money, you pay them a little more upfront and say, hey, we're going to pay you now for what you're going to do now. And then we'll defer a little more money on the back end where it's not as much money you're paying after these guys are done on the contract. I think that's totally fair too. Because that's what John Lester was willing to do. He's like, what is it going to take for me to re-sign? Here, I'll give you a blank check. You can defer money. You can do whatever the hell you need to do. Like, guys like playing for the Cubs. It's literally one of the top 3 merchandise selling markets in the country. And they're bigger than the Dodgers. The last time I remember looking, the top 3 are the Yankees, partially because, let's be frank, that logo is just so marketable outside of being a sports fan. The Braves are kind of the same way with the script A. And then it's the Cubs. Like, they're going to have that fan base. Like, playing for the Chicago Cubs means something. Like, you've heard Boog talk about calling games for the Cubs. Like, he's like, this isn't just calling baseball games. It's calling baseball games for the Chicago Cubs. Like, these guys want to stay. If they want to stay, fuck it. Pay them over the back end of their contract. You think the amount of money that even after they're done playing here, that they can make the Cubs organization, if they're deferring money, isn't going to be at least pay for what they're owed? Come on. Like, I know.
Yeah.
I got an accounting background. I know the numbers well enough. I promise you the return on investment will be there. Don't you worry.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no, again, it's such a long ways away. I wish that the Cubs could figure out a way to at least extend Rizzo in season, but the more quotes we keep seeing them whenever he comments on it, doesn't seem like that's going to be a thing. But, that's something that, today is one of those days where those three guys can go to their agents and be like, look, I can still do this.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And now the Cubs, they obviously need to see it on a consistent basis more. And I think as far as at bats and production, we've seen more of it from Chris Bryant. Anthony Rizzo finally got his first homer today, so that's nice. And we know Rizzo, he always starts out slow, and then and
even then he's been having good at bats at least.
Right. It's guys like Javi where it's like, yeah, he's going to be the cheapest one, but are we sure you want to keep that around long term? Like just because he's cheap, whenever you have all these prospects, like I just mentioned, Ed Howard, Nico Horner, the guy that we got from, what do you call it, from the Yu Darvish trade, which I know he's like a teenager, whatever, but like still, like we have a lot of shortstops in those.
Isn't it like Reginald Apprecio or something like that? Is his name?
Yeah, something like that. So it's great that we have a guy like Javi Baez, and I don't take him for granted. But at the same time, if he doesn't consistently show that he can do what he did in 18 and 19, then it's hard for me to want to throw that money at him, And if we throw any money at him at this point, if he wants like a 5-year deal, the contract is under $100 million for me at this point. It's probably more like 60, 70. That's where it's at for me. And that's in a 5-year deal. So like, we're talking 10, 15 million a year, if that,
right. So, which is like what he's making right now. I think he's a $10 million guy right now. Yeah.
Right. Like to me, that he's worth what we're getting from him right now. Like that, like that's how he's making what his contract is, in my opinion. I don't think he's a 20 million a year dollar guy unless he can, unless he just turns into 2018 Javi Baez the rest of the year and shows it consistently. But that's remained to be seen, man. So
right. Well, I think that's the key, right? Is like you mentioned it. I think this is the exact word that the Cubs are like just dialed in about, right? Is what in the hell are we going to do? Because they want consistency. That's the key here. Consistency is the word. Be consistent. If you can be consistent as a baseball player, because consistency over 162 games is fucking hard. If you can be consistent, you're probably one of the best players in the game. Like the guys that stick around for 15 years, even if they're not the greatest players in the league, they're just consistent. Teams know what they're going to get, and that's why they continue to give these guys 2- and 3-year contracts until they're 38 years old. Like, look at Craig Counsell, the guy that the Cubs just got done facing, who's now a manager. 2 former players, Ross and Counsell, as our managers now. Counsell was that guy. He was a very serviceable, multi-use interior, like infielder, and he hit good average. He gave you okay power, but you knew what you got with him because literally his entire career he was consistent. And if we're talking just strictly consistency right now, Rizzo is at the top of the list of consistency. Bryant is probably not too far behind because let's be honest, take out the injury-ridden 2018 season. He's been pretty damn in 2020. Fuck 2020. That whole year is just garbage in my opinion at this point. But like 2015, 16, 17, 19, Chris Bryant was very good. 18, he was just really banged up. So like if he's going to be healthy, he's been pretty consistent. He's been consistent so far this year. I mean, he's been good at bats. Yeah, even if he has a bad game, he's still taking good at bats. He's seeing the ball well. He's being consistent. So I agree with you with Javi. If he found a way to just be consistently Javi, I think that just increases his value. Unfortunately, one day you get this Javi, and then one day you get this Javi. And for those that can't see, I'm really good Javi and really shitty Javi is my difference there.
There's no happy medium.
No.
Like, because like baseball players are not going to get ahead every day. Like not everyone's Joe DiMaggio, man. Like no one's going to break that streak ever. You know what I mean? Like you're not going to get ahead every day. But what can you do to impact the game? Yeah. And for Javi, if he doesn't get hits, it's usually defensively. How much does that defensive value really help the Cubs get wins? How much does it? Like he's a great defensive player. No one should ever say he's a bad defensive player. That is for sure.
He's got a gold glove. There's a reason for
it. So how much does the defensive value him as a player overall? Like that, and that's why the offensive numbers mean so much. Like you got it. Like, and that's the thing. Like, if he's not going to get a hit or hit a home run, like, how are you going to find a way to get on base? Try to walk more. Oh wait, we just talked about how he went like 104 at bats without a walk, and then he's done that like a handful of times before anyway. So It's just kind of like, where's the value, man? You got to get consistent value, and we just don't get it. So again, I know I feel so bad for slandering him a little bit today because he had a walk and he had a home run, and he's the reason we won the game.
He was 2 for 3. Yeah, he had a good day. But give me this Javi. And I'm not even saying like home run every day, Javi, but like if he can give me 1 to 2 hits, and then I mean every baseball player has an 0 for 3, 0 for 4 day. It happens. Right. It's just normal. But like
the amount of 0 for 3, 0 for 4s with 3 strikeouts that Javi Baez has though is bad.
Yes. Bad. And if he can bring that down, even if it's 0 for 3, but you're making good contact with the ball, at least we know you're seeing the ball well.
Right.
Then all of a sudden the narrative is entirely different around, like we said, consistency. Like that's what we want.
And that's why I haven't really said anything bad about Chris Bryant, because he's had a few games where he hasn't got a hit. But he's had good at bats, had like long pitch counts, or hit a sac fly or something, or just put the bat on the ball. You know what I mean? Javi Baez doesn't do that on a consistent basis, man.
Right. Yep. And I think that's just the biggest knock. And I'm sure there's people that are sitting here, they're the old men on their get off my front lawn.
I'm yelling at the clouds.
Yelling at the clouds. We're not. We're breaking down. We're talking Cubs baseball, and these are general concerns that we have, and but these are things like look for people that are. I think this is the biggest thing with social media that people forget is like everybody wants to roast you for what they think is a bad take. I want to be wrong when I talk bad about a player that I like. I want you to prove me wrong. Like I want Javi to turn around and be like, "Hey, Cubs on tap. Go shove it where the sun don't shine. I'm gonna hit." Even if he hit 265, I'd be pumped. Yeah. And even honestly, I was looking at his numbers. All but 2020, Javi is a pretty consistently like a 270 guy over the course of his career. Even in those years when he was striking out a shit ton, he was still hitting like 273. Like I'll take that
because he found he took away the fact of not walking a lot, which is getting a lot of hits, and that's what you have to do if you're not going to take walks, man. Right. Like. But the thing is like since last year, he's not getting a lot of hits. So he's not walking. He's not getting a lot of hits. Where's the value on the offensive side of the ball? That's like, we just need more of what we saw today. I'm not asking for a home run every day. I'm asking for, just some hits or a walk. Like there were some at bats I thought I think it was the show I did with Juice a couple of days ago after the Cubs lost 4-0. Javi, he struck out looking on a fastball on that outside edge. I think you kind of threw it out there earlier. Yeah. And he was he just got caught looking, and the pitch was actually a ball. And I went on a rant about robot umps, whatever, but like he had a really good at bat, and I thought he deserved the walk there. And see, and now I'm not going to go on a rant about robot umps, but like that's the reason he is the way he is, though. I feel like it's just like he tries to do the right thing, and then he still gets bamboozled. Yeah, you know what I mean? And that's a whole nother thing. But again, man, we've been talking about Javi Baez and Chris Bryant this entire show. But again, I just think that if we get anything like this from those 3 guys who hit homers today, the Cubs are going to be in a good spot. I know I kind of slandered Jake a little bit because I didn't think he was that great today, but veterans find a way. I think John Lester is one of those guys who've said it, where it's just like, if you don't have your best stuff, you still got to find a way to get through 5. And there were games where John Lester got shelled and was taken out in the first inning, but there were days he also didn't have his best stuff, but he still managed to get through 5. And Jake did that today. He got through 6 somehow. I couldn't believe he did it, but he did it. So that's good stuff. That's good news at least. But I don't really have much else on the game except we haven't really talked about Kimbrel that much.
That was the only thing I had left to bring up that I wanted to bring up. But I like what you said though about Jake, right? Like I actually heard it. So the lovely part about the Cubs playing at home and then the White Sox being in Seattle the last few nights is like when I'm up late just doing On Tap Sportsnet stuff, because Cubs on Tap is the official Cubs podcast of the On Tap Sports Network. Like, I just turn the game on because I like to watch baseball and I just listen to the broadcast. And Steve Stone actually mentioned, he said, every good pitcher in the league doesn't have their best stuff every game. They're like, he's like, there's about 80% of the time that they go out there and it's not their best stuff, but can you grind through it to still have a quality game? Giolito did that the other night for the White Sox, and that's who he was referencing in that. Jake did that today for the Cubs. Like you said, probably should not have won today's game. Like, he did not look great, but he muscled through it. He got some baseball luck from the baseball gods. And he grinded out a 6-inning game. If Jake can grind out 6-inning games all season long and give the Cubs a chance to win, that's all we're asking of him. He doesn't need to be Cy Young Jake. But if he can be consistent, you give me a good 5 to 6 innings and at least keep the Cubs in the game every single time out, you're worth your money that he's being paid this season to me.
Yep. That's an easy $7 million that you feel good about.
Easy.
So
easy. Yeah, I mean, hell, they might sell $7 million of Jake jerseys. I got one on right now that I bought when I went to the game on Saturday. So, like, you know, I mean, yeah, he's certainly worth it. But yes, Kimbrel, yeah, literally looks unhittable right now, and
he looks like Braves, Padres, and beginning of Red Sox tenure, Craig Kimbrel right now, and
like stare you down the gun, want to murder you.
Yeah,
Kimbrel, yeah,
right. And I'm not going to say anything about how the Cubs season will go, but it's very good for the Cubs that he is doing this for various reasons.
Yes, either way, right? Yeah, I know exactly where you're going. Cubs being very good or very bad, Kimbrel being very good is good both ways. Yes,
100%. Yeah, and I think. We talked about it in the offseason. Kimbrel was very good in September of last year, and people were kind of nervous in spring training because he wasn't doing anything. But time and time again, we see guys who just it's like they work on their mechanics or something like that in spring, and then they turn it on when the season starts. And that looks like what he's done so far this year, and that's good because I'm so fucking tired of being like heartbroken in the ninth inning or just having anxiety in the ninth inning. It's like, all right, Kimbrel's coming in. And there was nothing to be worried about today. Like, there really wasn't. Even when he came in the eighth inning, I was a little nervous just because there was bases loaded. But like after watching him throw like 3 or 4 pitches, I was like, he ain't gonna give up anything. Like when he's dotting 97 on the edges, like
it's beautiful. It's a work of art. Like, literally, like, give me, I want to find, and if there's any photographers that listen to our podcast, you can get me a picture of Craig Kimbrel on the mound with the flow that he's got right now in like a save situation, preferably in like August when hopefully Wrigley Field's close to full again, like 100% full. And he's in his little like cocked arm, like staring you down, like underneath the brim of his hat. If somebody can get that in a picture for me, I will pay you and I will frame it, because that's what I like. That's Craig Kimbrel. Like, yes, like that's the guy that when the Cubs signed him mid-season back in 2019, that people were freaking the fuck out about, because that is the Craig Kimbrel that people know. He's an elite closer in this league, and he's showing it right now. The flow looks great. The fastball looks unbelievable. That hook that he's got is back. I mean, it looks better than ever, at least in his Cubs tenure. And he had a 5-out save today. And like you mentioned, great that they're able to throw him out there like that because they have the off day tomorrow. But like,
I would have been a little upset if they would have brought him in if they had to play a game tomorrow.
Yes,
at least in the 8th inning, just because it's so early in the year. But either way, like we got to win. We got an off day tomorrow. We can feel good about everything. So,
I think we got to share Marty's comment.
Yeah, let's share Marty's comment. He says his power moved from the hair on his face to the hair on his head.
Yeah, the beard got shorter, the flow got longer. I love it.
I love his smiles after he gets the save or whatever. You didn't see that last year, obviously, because he was not good last year, and he was just pissed off. But
or when he was pitching well, like he was an 8th inning guy, so he wasn't really getting many save opportunities because Wick was kind of the closer for most of last season, effectively.
Right, so that's a big point there. Like the bullpen outside of Dan Winkler today was great. Just wait till Rowan Wick is back too. Like he was a setup man last year. You had him with the sheriff, the king, whatever you want to call him, Andrew Chafin, like the bullpen,
the on-tap spirit animal or
yeah,
Spotify animal that autocorrect fucked me out of earlier. Bastard. Anyway, sorry.
R.I.P. in peace. Yeah, like you get those guys back. You get you with Kimbrel in the back end, man. Like, it's amazing to say. Like, the one thing I don't have any worries about is the Cubs bullpen, outside of like a few guys. But of overall, if we're talking overall, the Cubs bullpen, I'm pretty confident in, man.
Yeah. No, I agree. I mean, at least with kind of the big guns, right? That are.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like we're starting to understand kind of who's got what roles. Like, I think Jason Adam long term will have a big role because he looked really good last year, and I think he's just gotten off to a slow start this year. But Chafin looks unhittable. Kimbrel looks unhittable. And they have enough of a decent collection of guys throughout the rest of that pen. I think Mills has looked good overall, coming out of the pen in 1 or 2 inning relief pit points. I think actually Mills being a multi-inning reliever is good for this bullpen, so like they have options, and then they're going to get Rowan Wick back. And if he's even 3/4 of what he was last year, all of a sudden now you got your 7th, 8th, 9th guys, it feels like. And, as long as your starters can do what Jake did today and give you 6, that's all you need.
And it kind of turns into how a lot of teams have been successful over, the last 3-4 years, even 5 years, of where you're just hoping to get 5 innings out of your starter, and then you got your bullpen to back you up if you need it. Right. Come postseason time, if the Cubs can get there. They have kind of put themselves in that kind of position if they can just get to the postseason. I don't want them to be able to have to do that in season, because then that'll ruin their arms, right. AKA like Joe Madden did in like 2018. But
she's like pitching like every single day, and then gets like one off day in between, like every 5 appearances.
So, right. So, but if you can get to the postseason with this rotation and this bullpen, and like you get consistency out of the rotation, then that just makes the bullpen even more powerful come the postseason. And like I said, we've seen it time and time again, man. Teams who have really good bullpens, they excel in this day and age of baseball. So
absolutely.
Not jumping far ahead yet. Still got to get there. There's still a lot of baseball to play. But again, like I said, the bullpen is like the really good thing going on right now. And I'll give Rex Brothers credit where it's due. Mm-hmm. And because of that, he'll probably fuck me the next time he pitches. But I'll give him his due today.
Yeah, no, he looked good today, and an inning and a third for him with 3 strikeouts, and a clean, appearance otherwise. So certainly encouraging there. But yeah, man, I think it's it's good the Cubs won today. We're happy. A lot of good. Some things we still are concerned about, but as we mentioned, thank God we're only 7 games into this 162 game marathon. At least we're back to regular baseball, and guys actually have time now to make adjustments. Not every game doesn't count as 3 anymore like it did last season, or like the 2.83 or whatever the official ratio was. But it feels good that, okay, they got to win. They got an off day tomorrow. They come back Saturday. I think everybody's going to feel pretty good. So any last thoughts before we go ahead and preview Saturday's game?
I want to also shout out to Jake Marisnik. He had a good game today. He had 2 hits. He did have a base running blunder, but I'm starting to kind of get on his bandwagon a little bit. Like, he kind of comes off just like a professional hitter. He's not going to hit a ton of bombs or anything like that, but I like his defense, and he looks like a guy at the plate that you just don't want to have to face on a consistent basis. So I don't know how his role is going to progress as the season moves forward. I know Ian Happ's kind of off to a little bit of a slow start, and I don't think that I want Ian Happ in center field. I want him there, but I do want to keep an eye on it as the season progresses based off of how the team plays and what happens at the trade deadline. Mm-hmm. Is this a guy that maybe they'll keep next year just because they won't have certain guys? I hate saying it like that, but he is playing like a guy that I'm like, all right, well, he could be like a nice, role player going into next year as well. Yeah. And it's more than just the hair. It's like like I said, he's a great defensive player, and he's, a couple hits today. He's played well in recent games as well. And I like the role he's in. So I'm excited to see how he plays moving forward.
Agreed. Big fan of Marisnik. I think, just to keep it short, I think he's like, for this team this year and what they're trying to do, he's like the perfect 4th outfielder because he can play all 3 spots. And like, play it well. So I certainly agree. I think he had a nice game today and definitely deserves some kudos. So, but yeah, man, it feels good. And we get an off day here at Cubs on Tap, and the Cubbies also get an off day tomorrow, but the Cubs are back in action on Saturday night. That one is a 5:35 Central Daylight starting time. It is in PNC Park, once again in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. That'll, again, April 10th. Remember, April 9th, no game. Take a breather, Cubs fans. We all need a day off mentally because it's a marathon for us too. But that is a 5:35 start. Standard places where you can catch the game: 670 The Score and Marquee Sports Network in the Chicagoland market, 93.7 and AT&T Sportsnet Pittsburgh in the Pittsburgh market for that game. The pitching matchup as of now is Zach Davies. So this will be a rematch of Sunday's game that just happened this past Sunday, Easter Sunday. Between Zach Davies and Mitch Keller. So Davies 1-0 with a 3.18 ERA and 5 Ks. Obviously, only the one start so far for him. Looked good against Pittsburgh, other than the sixth inning when he got roughed up a little bit. And then Mitch Keller didn't look great that day. He is technically 0-1 with a 9 ERA and 4 Ks. So exactly what we saw on last Sunday. Or this past Sunday. I don't know what day it is anymore. Let's be entirely honest here. But nonetheless, I would expect to see the same lineup that they trotted out Sunday. Kind of how they did it with today, right? It was the same pitching matchup as Saturday from this past series with Pittsburgh. So they were like, well, just run it back. We won that game. Let's run it back. I would expect them to do the exact same thing because they won that Sunday game too. So just run it back. Same guys behind Davies. Play ball. What say you?
Yeah. Zach Davies was really good in his first start as a Cub. So he's got he's got the first start off the schneid, as they like to say. And he was outside of, I think he gave up a home run, but I think the Cubs, they need to win Saturday. That way there's no pressure to go in and win on Sunday. Not that not that it would be okay that they lose on Sunday, but you win on Saturday, you're feeling good going into Sunday for a potential sweep. With less pressure means more loose ends on the pressure to win on Sunday. So especially with Davies, I think that's a good bet that the Cubs are going to go and take care of business. And we've talked about it at end, man. Like these games against the Pirates, as bad as they are, they mean some because it might literally decide who wins the division, because whoever plays the best against the Pirates between the rest of the teams in the division, because it's going to be so close of a race, it might come down to who wins, because any loss any of the teams in this division takes against the Pirates will hurt themselves in the standings, because everyone's going to just shit on the Pirates in this. Like everyone in this division will shit on them. So
you would think, yeah.
So
I mean,
go ahead.
I was going to say, like, I'm just in full agreement with you there. Like, hypothetically, if the Cardinals and the Brewers struggle against the Pirates for some reason, that could easily put them out of the race. And then maybe it is only a 2-team race between the Cubs and the Reds, because the Reds just shelled the Pirates this last series. So, like, I agree with you. I think 100% it easily could come down to, hey, you guys are all probably going to play everybody else in the league pretty evenly. Who can kick the shit out of Pittsburgh the most? Because you're probably going to win the division then, because you're getting those easy wins when you truly need them. So I think that's a good way to look at it, man. I really do.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it's again, it's a Saturday night game, like 5:30, Saturday late afternoon game. Like, Zach Davies, like, just go in, do what he does. Let's, don't give me any stress. I don't want any stress on a Saturday night. I don't. So
Facts.
Let's just go in, take care of business. Let's feel good going into a Sunday, try to sweep the series. I don't want to lose on Saturday and then have that negative anxiety in my body going into a Sunday, like, oh God, we might lose a series against the Pirates. I don't want that. So that's why Saturday's game is important.
Yeah, no, well said. I literally have nothing else to add to that. I think that is the perfect way to put for Saturday's game. Just get the dub. You won the series already. If you can sweep them, great. If not, you still won 2 out of 3. You're 5-4, after the Pittsburgh series, and we keep it moving. So I think that's a good way to put it. Who, sir, do you pick as your Fly the W player for Saturday?
Well, it's the same thing, man. We're rolling all year. Andrew Chafin, the sheriff, Obvious Shirts just tweeted out that he's doing like some sort of, deal, or not deal, but like giveaway. They're giving away a shirt that's related to Andrew Chafin. I just replied to it like 10 minutes ago and was like, there's only one answer for who deserves this shirt. And I'm just assuming that everyone knows that should be me, because I've been on the Andrew Chafin train since like 3 weeks ago.
I was gonna say like prior to the season starting, like
right.
We were talking spring training, and you were like, "This dude is my spirit animal. I need Andrew Chafin all season long. Just go.
So that's why I'm like, I deserve this shirt. No one was talking about Andrew Chafin until like last week, man. So I deserve this shirt. So Joe, if you're listening to the show, you know who to give this shirt to. So yeah, no, I Marquis freaking tweeted out something this morning. I think eight out of the last 10 batters that Chafin's faced have been strikeouts. So he's doing the job, man. He's just a reliever, but he's making a name for himself in the Cubs bullpen. So
hell yeah, man. Yeah, I mean, he's been unbelievable. I think I joked with you the other night, like originally going into the season, it kind of felt like a little bit of a joke, but now it's like, holy shit, this might be legit. I mean, if he comes out every time and pitches an inning in a third and strikes out all 4 guys he sees, we got to give you a fly the W point. I can't say no to that. Like, got to give it to you. No, I love it. I can't wait to ride that Chafin train all season long with you. But, it's a tough one. I want to ride high and go with my guy KB again. I really do. But I feel like I got to switch it up a little bit, just keep things fresh. And I'm going to go with the other guy that's a part of the Barizzo duo. And I'm going to go with Rizzo. I really think, he's due for kind of that big game. Like, he's been quietly consistent so far. He hasn't been great necessarily, but he hasn't been awful by any means. And, he doesn't have great success against Keller. He's only 1 for 5 in his career, but it's also a small sample size to begin with. So, like, I'm going to ride with Rizzo. They're in Pittsburgh. If the weather's really nice, that could certainly help. I think he needs just one good April game for people to remember, like, hey, I start slow, but it's still there. Like, when it's – I'm from Florida. You need to give me a little bit to get used to this cold weather shit in the north. Like, I like Riz. I really do. I like Riz for Saturday, so I'm going to go ahead and ride with Rizzo.
All right.
Again, as much as I want to pick KB.
Right. Our last two, or you and Juice's – fly W picks back-to-back games have all been just like right on the money. Yeah. So,
well, I know last year, because it was such a short season, we were a little more lenient on fly the W points, but we only counted them in wins. This year, I'm just counting all of them. So Juice gets a point because the Jock Peterson one was a good call. He finally got his first hit as a Cub. I felt very good about my KB pick today because he had the home run, lovey-dovey, and I'm happy. He's been good. Right. I'm just happy Chris Bryant looks like Chris Bryant.
Put some respect on his name, man.
Put some respect
some respect with the K. Yeah, some respect. Put some respect on his name. I will fucking scream it all season. And if the Cubs fucking trade him and he goes on to another team and fucking rakes, I will fucking shit on all the fans who fucking said this guy is trash, all the ones who didn't appreciate him. I will, Ron. I will. I never forget. Never forget,
never forgive, never forget, right?
Yep. Never forget.
At least when it comes to the Chris Bryant train. But no, I agree, man. I really hope I mean, for his sake, like, he's a likable player. Everybody in Chicago loves Chris Bryant. So, like, if KB comes out, has a great season, and, like, you know what? And this is kind of my closing thought, and then I'll turn it back quickly to you before we get out of here with all the pleasantries. But, like, Ricketts, you wanna make me the happiest Cubs fan on the face of this planet. If KB is just fucking firing on all cylinders heading into, like, Independence Day, I want a tweet on 4th of July morning when I'm getting ready to go crush every beer I physically can see that day to celebrate Independence Day. I need a Cubs tweet circa about 8:30, 9 o'clock in the morning when I'm pouring my cup of coffee. It says, breaking. Cubs, Chris Bryant agreed to X year extension. We'll be celebrating more than just this country's Independence Day, all right? I'm going to be celebrating Chris Bryant
July
being
4th, bro. If that happens on
Stupid.
July 4th, I will be clipping this actual video right now on this live stream, and we will freaking play that shit.
Lottery. I'm going to play the lottery if that actually happens, because that is stupid to call that. And if that happens, ladies and gentlemen, there will not be a Cubs on Tap on the 4th of July. There probably won't be anyway, but like there will for sure not be, because none of us will be in any condition to talk about whatever happened.
No,
we will be celebrating a Chris Bryant.
You have to be following us on social media, where we'll be slamming beers and celebrating and all that good stuff. So
and hopefully not blowing our hands off with fireworks. That's why I just don't touch fireworks, man. I don't fucking.
I feel that.
I just watch them. I'll sit back. I'll sit the 25 feet back from everybody popping them off and just drink my beer and watch them go boom. It's much easier that way than trying to mess with them. And I've seen people almost take their hands off. And anyway,
that's the way to do it. I like
the way to do it, man. But all right, man. Well, everybody that watched, we appreciate you joining us. This one ran a little long, but this was actually a fun game to talk about. There's a lot of things to break down.
And off day tomorrow, so
and an off day.
Time to listen. Yeah.
Give you a little bit more extra content for the off day. But again, we do want to remind you, Cubs on Tap, the official podcast of the On Tap Sports Network for Cubs. You can find us www.ontapsportsnet.com on the interwebs and at ontapsportsnet on all social media. You can also follow our pod specific account, which is at Cubbies, not just Cubs, at Cubbies on Tap. Cubbies, both on Instagram and Twitter. Plenty of content on both of those as well. We just rebranded the logo, so if you do follow us and it looks weird, that's why. But like we said, www.ontapsportsnet.com and at ontapsportsnet on social media. The On Tap Sports Network. Go ahead and check out what's on tap in Chicago sports. Alrighty, sir. Well, I hope you enjoy your off day. I know I will enjoy mine.
It'll be nice to not have to wake up and, be worried about like what could potentially happen. Yeah. That's just what baseball season is, man. Like I signed up for 162 and everything is just like it's worn on a sleeve, man. My girlfriend, I'm blessed that she sticks around. I'm pretty blessed. Like I give her a lot of fucking shit. I give her a lot of fucking shit for her to just be like, why am I with this guy?
She walks into the house after like a Thursday or a Friday day game and is like, how was your day? Fucking terrible. The Cubs lost.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, honestly, she came home from work today and she was like, how are you? I was like, well, the Cubs are up 4-2. I'm feeling pretty good right now.
I'm feeling damn good. We're going to go talk about a Cubs winner. Like, it's awesome. And she's like, oh, thank God. It's not a bad day. They won. Oh my God. It's like, no, that's good. You should
have been around, or I wish we were friends. Whatever. They lost 9 games in a row at the end of 2019, and just like my entire existence was just straight awful. Like I was terrible to be around. Like
I could only imagine.
Not good.
That's awesome. Well, hey, at least you've got about 36 hours at minimum to just. Yeah, ride this win out, and
tomorrow we got Friday. Like we keep talking about, off day. Just gonna, sit back and gamble on all the other baseball games. Hashtag on tap bets. Go follow on Twitter. And just enjoy the Friday. Hopefully the weather's nicer than today, and so be back for Saturday and feeling good going into it. And we'll see how things go, man.
That we will, and I think without further ado, let's get out of here, my guy. Let's go Cubbies.
Let's go Cubs.